A very good afternoon to all the participants present here today from across the country, the organizing members, the technical team, and my dear colleagues. I am Sharmishta Bhunia, Assistant Professor of English HIT. Cordially welcome you all once again to the 1 week faculty development program, Thriving Together Communication, Mental Wellness, and Collaborative Excellence in Higher Education, organized by the School of Applied Sciences and Humanities, HIT, in association with IQAC. For the past 4 days, we are privileged to witness, experience, connect, and learn with excellent experts around the country. And we have arrived at the fifth and the final day of this program. In this last session, we have with us a stellar and high-powered industry professional, Moushumi Dey, Associate Director, TV Rao Learning Systems Pvt Limited. Madam would be sharing her expertise on the crucial and interesting topic, Collaborate to Innovate Beyond Boundaries and Silos. The session would enrich our understanding on collaborative approach towards educational and professional arena. I take the honor to introduce her. Ms. Moushumi Dey is an HRD and leadership development consultant with over 26 years of cross-cultural experience in human resource management, leadership development, talent management, and organizational development. She is currently associated with TV Rao Learning Systems Pvt Limited as Associate Director. She is a professional certified coach accredited by the International Coaching Federation. She is also a certified NLP coach, desk master practitioner, and emotional intelligence coach. Prior to joining TVRLS, she worked with a leading Japanese chemical company, MCPI Pvt Limited, where she spearheaded initiatives related to HR and quality initiatives such as Kaizen and quality control circles. Her consulting expertise includes executive coaching, leadership development, 360-degree feedback, competency mapping, competency-based interviewing, performance management systems, HRD audits, assessment and development centers, individual development planning, psychometric assessment, talent engagement, climate service, and learning and development interventions across diverse industries. She holds a postgraduate qualifications, including MBAs in human resource management and operations, and a diploma in training and development. She also has completed executive programs from institutions such as XLRI Jamshedpur and certifications in design thinking and soft skills training. Recognized for her contributions to the learning and development profession, she received the Best Leadership Excellence Coach of the Year 2024 award from the National Institute of Skills Training and was featured among the top 50 inspiring L&D minds 2025, reflecting her commitment to developing leaders, building organizational capability, and enabling suitable business performance. It is a privilege to welcome such an accomplished persona and industry expert, and I now request Ms. Moushumi Dey to kindly take the session forward. To you, ma'am.
Great. Thank you very much. Good afternoon and namaste to all of you. Thank you very much, Ms. Shurmishta, for the warm and generous introduction. Thank you for your kind words. So I think this 1 week online faculty development program, which is Thriving Together, Communication, Mental Wellness, and Collaboration, Excellence in Higher Education. So I think it's a privilege to be part of this faculty development program. And I must extend my sincere gratitude to the School of Applied Science and Humanities, Haldia Institute of Technology, for organizing this meaningful initiative and bringing together a lot of educators committed to learning and collaboration. A special note of thanks to Dr. Meenakshi Dey and Dr. Jyoti Dole for the kind invitation and the opportunity to deliver this session on collaboration to innovate. And I look forward to an engaging and enriching interactions with all the participants. So thank you very much, Shomishta ma'am. Great. So yes, the topic that I have, I thought I'll just add a few thoughts. When I actually got this particular title, "Collaborate to Innovate Beyond Boundaries," and I just asked a simple question: why do we need to talk about collaboration today? Haven't people always worked together? Well, the answer is yes and no. So we always work together, but we haven't always collaborated. So there's a difference. Working together could mean that we share the same institution, whereas when we look at collaboration, it means the sharing responsibilities for solving a problem. So this is very, very important. Like, when we look at how often do we genuinely solve, whether it's an academic problem or a corporate problem altogether. And the answer is probably not as often as it should be. And that's where I wanted to bring this topic out. So let me start with the slide deck. Just allow me to share the slide deck that I have for all of you. Yes, and maybe a quick confirmation if you are able to see this, because when I'm sharing, I'm not able to go. So if you can just confirm whether you're able to see the first slide. Okay. So maybe I would also want a confirmation if you are able to see the second one as well. Traditional classroom, great. So which means it's working well. So let me take you back for a moment. So imagine, a professor teaching in the early 1990s. So the syllabus remained relatively stable for years. The textbook changed slowly, and students depended almost entirely on their teachers for knowledge. So the classroom was the primary source of learning. If student wanted information, they came to the teachers. But just today, if you just pause and think about how things have changed in the classroom area, okay, classroom area, your students walk into the class carrying something more powerful than the computer that sent human being to the moon, their phone. The phone can access millions of research papers, lectures from Nobel Prize winners, AI tools that explains concept instantly. Even the simulations are there. There are a lot of videos, coding assistant. So the monopoly of information has disappeared. And I think this is perhaps the biggest change education has experienced in history. Now, here's the important question: if information is no longer our greatest value, then what is? What is the role of a teacher in a world where information is everywhere? And I believe the role has shifted from being providers of answer to becoming designers of learning experience. And and because learning isn't just about content, learning is about curiosity. It's about building confidence. It's about crucial thinking, collaboration, emotional safety. So can one faculty member master all of this? Probably it's a little challenging. And that's perfectly okay, because education was never meant to be a solo performance. It was always meant to be an orchestra. Now, when I say orchestra, just think for a moment. You know, in the orchestra, you will have a violinist, he may be exceptionally talented. Even you will have a pianist, maybe he is also extraordinary. A percussionist may have, kind of a rhythm. But if each one plays independently, what do we hear? We hear noise. So music begins only when different strengths listen to one another. And I think that for me is collaboration, not just working together. So the reason as to why faculty should While majorly why I have taken into this is because the topic of academic, because it's more relatable to you. But I must say that this is open for any organization, any industry. So I just want to give now, as I was mentioning here about the pillars of learning. Now, why should faculty care about? Because nowadays, if you just look at the faculty, they are not only the learning designers. They're not only teaching, but they are researchers, they are mentors, they are also, I would say, innovation facilitators, they're curriculum developers, they're also industry connectors. So faculty today shape mind, they build future, and they transform the society. Yeah. So I just wanted to get into this. Now, when I look at innovation, if you just keep on adding ideas, it's not going to work all the time. While divergence of ideas is important, but innovation is also about connecting different ideas. Suppose if you ask a computer science professor to solve the problem of student entrepreneurship. So for them, it's about technology. But if you ask a management professor, they may think of business models. Ask a psychology professor, they may think about, taking risk. And if you ask an English professor, they may focus on, say, communication and pitching. Now, who is correct? All of them. Who is complete? None of them. And that is the beauty of collaboration. It kind of tell us that expertise gives us depth, but when we collaborate, it also gives us the width of it. And I think that is what is very, very important. Because nowadays, if you just look at higher education, they don't only need specialists. We also require people who are willing to learn from other specialists, you know, and just to have a completely different mindset. I think that is very, very important. Now, while I'm looking at collaboration, I'm going to bring in the concept, two, three concepts over here. And one of the concept that I'm going to bring over here is the concept of design thinking, concept of appreciative inquiry, and the concept of six thinking hats. So these are something that I'm going to bring in, but the entire thing is based on the concept of design thinking, which I'm going to share it with you. So again, just look at suppose the college wants the student to design a wheelchair. So now what each of them are going to do? Maybe the engineering, they might go ahead with a stronger wheels because they know about the load and the stress which is required. How about mechanical department? They might be concentrating on the suspension area for the smoother ride. And if we just go to electronics department, probably they might work on sensors. Computer science, um, they might look at navigation. And when you look at the business, it's about, okay, what is the cost which is required, material cost, manufacturing cost, and everything. So this is what, everyone solves, but they solve only a part of the problem within their expertise. But the best solution comes when we truly understand the person we are designing for. So what's missing over here? The missing thing is no one asked the wheelchair user. Nobody understood the real needs. In terms of the insights, what are the daily challenges the person is actually facing, the user is facing? Did anybody ask any question about comfort, dignity, and independence? No. Probably even the user might be thinking, oh, while I got this wheelchair, I wish it was a little lighter to carry. I struggle with narrow doors and rough paths. So, the truth, what I wanted to say is the true solution comes when we collaborate with the user, understanding their real needs, and design with empathy, where we have lot of perspective taken into consideration. Now, as I mentioned, this entire thing would be based on the concept of design thinking. Now, what is design thinking all about? Just to give a small idea about design thinking is it's a very human centered iterative approach to solving complex problem, and this was developed in design practice and popularized by Stanford's D School and the design firm IDEO. So, if you want to learn more about IDEO, what are the new things that they have come up with? So many a times earlier, when they came up with new product or services, they realized that the sustainability part was not possible because they realize that while we are producing, but we don't have anybody to use it. And I think that's where the idea was born. Can we just go to the user and understand what is something that they would like to have? Yeah. So this is in a nutshell about design thinking. You might feel that, okay, it might be similar to problem solving. It does problem solve, but the first part of design thinking is it's a human centered. We don't just come up with solutions or product or the services. We first understand what is the need, who is the user, what is the journey, what are the challenges that these people go through, and then come up with the required product or services. Now, let's understand a little bit more about design thinking. Now, when we look at design thinking, there are majorly 5 steps of design thinking. Now, if you find define, ideate, prototype, problem solve also does the same thing. But if you look at the first part, which is empathize, you need to empathize with the person. And how do you understand the world of the users? What can you do to understand the world of the users? How will I get more information? So it would be nice if I can have some reactions, some thoughts. Anybody wants to volunteer and want to share their thoughts? Like, if I have to understand the user, what are the ways by which I can learn more about the user's need? What can I do? Are there any thoughts by anybody? That would be great. Anybody? Okay. So one of the things that you may want to do is interview. You can even shadow. Um, you can even ask for feedback, but in a very non-judgmental way. So these are the ways by which you can actually learn more about the user. Yeah. So now, while you have the 5 stages, uh, I see a message saying, "Do you want me to join in?" I'm not sure. Is it for me or am I audible? If I can just get a reaction.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, Okay, great, great. Thank you very much. So yes, so empathize is very, very important. As I mentioned, that design thinking has got 5 steps, but today we are going to concentrate on two major important. One is empathize, and the other one is ideate. Now, and this concept of design thinking works anywhere, everywhere, in any parts of your life, whether it's a professional area, whether it's a personal area. Now, when I look at design thinking, empathize, once you empathize, then you define, okay, what is the problem? That because if you don't know what the problem is, any solution you come up with, it's not going to lead you to a destination. Because, first of all, you're not aware of the problem statement. So, define is more about coming up with the problem statement, so that there is a consensus and everybody understand that this is the problem that we need to work on. And then once we understand the problem, we ideate. We try to figure out a lot of recommendations, suggestions. You diverge the points, no judgment. It's about idea generation rather than idea judgment. So ideation is very, very important. And once you have an idea, how will you make sure that your idea is understood by the user? You need to do a little bit of a prototype. Now prototype is, it could be more like an, I want to build an app and want to show it to you, or probably I just do it in a sketch format. Okay, this is how it is, this is the app, the first page would look like this, then you go to the scroll to the next page. So in simple drawing also you can come up with prototype. And once you come up with a prototype, go to the user and say that this is how the entire thing will progress. Do you have any feedback for me? So that is where you need to test. So this is the way of design thinking. And let's understand its application in education industry, academics. Now, when I look at application in higher education, um, these are the various areas that we can look at. So when I look at curriculum development, if you see on the extreme left, you have something as curriculum development. Now, how do we go about doing a curricular development? Suppose a computer science faculty is probably redesigning a course on artificial intelligence. Now, instead of immediately revising the syllabus, they may interview the students, they may speak with industry professionals, ask alumni, and probably they might wonder that, okay, students know about AI theory, but they cannot solve real business problems. So instead of just adding more theory, probably they might like to introduce live projects, or it could be some um, healthcare case studies, finance applications. So then what happens? The curriculum becomes interdisciplinary. Now, the second one, just to take another example, classroom pedagogy. To give an example, say a faculty member notices that some of the students are silent in the class. I think this is something that you might have also experienced it. Now, instead of assuming that they are not interested, if they interview, because empathy says that try to interview, try to get more feedback. So when the faculty interview the students, and maybe the student reveal that, okay, I'm afraid of speaking English, or I have a fear of being judged, or I think some of the lectures are moving too quickly. So then what happens is the faculty changes her teaching. Now, instead of, say, only lectures, she might now introduce, say, think and pair, share, polls. She might also include something as small discussions, maybe some question. So, same students, but different experience when you have the second part going on. Likewise, when you look at the student engagement, maybe some of the faculties might discover that some of the students enjoy practical work more than lectures. Now, instead of giving another assignment, they may ask the students to solve how can our campus become plastic free. So maybe here the students from, say, engineering, management, commerce, environmental science, they may work together, and I'm sure the engagement increases. So likewise, you can use this design thinking in any areas of your life. Yeah. So as I mentioned, empathy is very, very important when we collaborate, because many times a lot of things happens, or the chaos happens, or the chaotic reaction comes in when people don't empathize with one another. It's not only in, as I would like to reiterate once again, it's not only in academics, it's everywhere, even in manufacturing, even in service industry, even in any organization industry. So let's understand one example. Like if something is happening, and there's always something that we ask, feed interview is asking the participants or the student, and we only capture what they are saying. But if you truly want to empathize, if you only capture what they say, but if you don't capture what they think or what they might do or what they might feel, then you are not looking at or you are not empathizing the person from various perspectives. Empathy is not only about understanding what the person is saying, but at the same time, is there anything the person is saying, but or maybe the person is thinking, but he's not saying out loud? So that's the thinking part of it. Do we also understand what the person is actually doing? We don't take into consideration on those aspects, or what is the person or the student feeling inside? Do we really get to uh, think about that? So that's where something which is very, very important is empathy mapping. Now, let me, okay, while I have already taken few things about this, like as I mentioned, when I look at the classroom pedagogy or the curriculum development, so these are some of the things, like first understand what skills do employers need, what do students struggle with, which topic do alumni wish they had learned, so which subject overlaps the other discipline. So this is where you can use the concept of design thinking. I think I have already shared this, but just very quickly, classroom pedagogy. If you just look at the traditional, maybe the faculty would say, I completed the syllabus. But when it's the empathy based approach, the thing is, did students actually understand? So it's about understanding, management, engagement, and growth. Likewise, when we look at student engagement, if it's an empathy based approach, it's about when do you enjoy learning? You are asking the students. Or what motivates you? What frustrates you? I think when these questions are asked, I'm sure there's a lot of revelation. But at the same time, it's very important to, you know, manage the psychological safety. You need to create that psychological safety so that the other person is able to speak up without any botheration. Like as I mentioned about institutional innovation, observe how students actually experience university services. Talk to student, watch the journey, identify their pain points, and then improve the services. Coming to this, I have a scenario over here. I think you may kind of relate to it. Either you might have experienced when you were a student, or now you might have heard when you might have interacted with some of the students. So the scenario is like Ria had recently joined the university. She was one of the top students in school, but college feels very different. She attends all her classes, submits assignment on time, and rarely misses lectures. She hardly asks question in class. She often feels overwhelmed by the pace of teaching and struggle to understand how different subjects connect to real life application. She spends hours watching YouTube videos after class to understand concepts that couldn't grasp during lectures. Now, although surrounded by classmates, she often feels lonely because she hasn't built close friendship yet. She worries about her future and whether she will be able to get a good job after graduation. Her faculty believes that she is quiet and uninterested because she rarely participates. Now, this is a case that I just pulled out. Usually, you'll get to see in many of the organization institutes. Now, if you ask Ria, if you just interview Ria, what is Ria saying? Okay, Ria is saying that, well, the syllabus is huge. I'm okay. If you ask, okay, it seems that you are very uninterested, you are very quiet. What is the reason for that? Now, this is what she's saying. I'm okay. I'll figure it out myself. I will watch YouTube later. I'm busy with assignments. Now, this is what we have heard, and we kind of get into solutions with this. But then, what is something that she's thinking but not saying out loud? Or what is she actually doing, or what is she feeling? So these are something that I think it's not been captured. So while I'm going through these slides, at any point of time, if you want to ask questions, please be comfortable. I'll be happy to take your questions. So yeah. So this is what, if you own, but what is happening over here is, if you only listen to what students say, and we may conclude that okay, everything is fine. But when we understand what they think, what they feel, and what they do, we begin to see the real learning experience. You kind of make informed decisions, assumptions. You make informed assumptions based on the evidence that you get to see. Now, design thinking, when I look at design thinking, now empathy is the first part, and empathy map is a tool that you can use to learn more about the what is happening inside of a person or the student. So it does not stop at assumption. It encourages us to validate them by talking to students, observing them, collecting feedback, and testing it out. Because many a times it might so happen that what I might have thought, it's not the real picture, it's something else which is beneath the surface. So how do we go about making sure that we have a complete picture? Now, I'm sure that you might have heard many people saying that, just be on the shoes of others, then only you will understand. But the question is, do we remove our shoe and then get into the shoes of others? We don't do that. And that's why we have lot of chaos within us. We want to learn others. We want to learn about the situation of others by being in their shoes. But the question is, we don't remove our shoes. So if says are important, so if would anybody wants to share, like, while I have given you three other areas which is completely blank, do you want to share, like, what is Ria may be thinking, or what she may be doing? Anything that maybe think. Let me give you one example. Think, do, and feel is something that they don't tell, but you are doing this by yourself because you have already asked and you got the inputs in the say column. But how do you know think, do, and feel? This is the exercise that you do, and you try to understand. Maybe think is okay, Ria may be thinking that is she smart enough to succeed here? She might be thinking about this. What is she doing? Maybe she is rarely asking questions, or maybe she might watch online tutorials after class. And what might she be feeling? She might be overwhelmed, she might be anxious. So this is something that you are trying to fill it up, because if I need to converse with somebody, I only heard the say part by asking question, but the think, do, and feel part is not yet taken care of. So you need to figure out ki, while she's saying this, what is she thinking, what is she doing, what is she feeling? So any thoughts by anybody? How what are the other things by which you can feel the three boxes? What Ria might be thinking, what she might be doing, what she might be feeling. Any other thoughts that anybody has? It would be nice to hear some of your thoughts.
I think Ria is extremely hesitant to ask
Okay.
for help to her teachers, and this hesitation comes from maybe the background she has or the environment she has grown up in her previous years in school.
That's very nice, Sharmishta. Thank you very much. That's nice. So
I would like
anybody
to
else?
add here
Yeah.
something.
Yes. Yes.
We can understand what
Meenakshi.
Ria is thinking, doing, or feeling by observing her, right?
Yes.
We can
Yes.
see how she interacts with others, how she actually behaves with others. And the feeling part, of course, that is a guesswork, an assumption, I
Yes.
could say. But yes, by observing her interactions with others, we can, to some extent, find out what she's thinking and doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Priya might be scared to express her feelings that she doesn't understand from the teaching something else. Yeah, then it mislead no teacher for also like not teaching well, or the teacher may be may not, I mean up to the mark, or some kind of I mean negative feedback. Uh, it will lead to negative feedback on teacher also. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Sujata ma'am. Thank you very much. So, yes, she might even think that, okay, she may not be upfront saying it, but she might be thinking that the teachers are very, not up to the mark, as you correctly mentioned. Maybe their style is very, very straight, very directive. And maybe, sometimes she might even think that, okay, should I be asking this stupid question? Maybe the teacher might think that this is a stupid question. And so you need to do this, think, do, and feel. One is observation, collecting feedback, testing. At the same time, you can eventually come up with your thought process here. Okay, maybe she might be doing this also. Because if you don't do this exercise, then what is happening is the entire empathy mapping, it's not full baked, it's half baked part of it. So I think this is a very, very important thing when we look at empathy, and empathy map is one of the major things. So if I just fill it up for all of you, these are the think, does, and feel. Um, she may be studying late, submit assignments on time. It could be positive, it could be not so positive. She participates here and there. So you need to do this exercise, not only sticking only to the say part, but also think, does, and feel. These are equally important, and that's where you empathize the person from various aspects of it. Now, again, looking at design thinking, where we say that collaboration. Now, when I look at collaborations from the design thinking part, as well as the collaboration from the classroom perspective. Now, if we look at engagement, say, suppose the university wants to solve one problem, that is student engagement. Like students attend class, but they are not actively engaged. Now, if one faculty designed the solution, so suppose here the faculty may say, okay, let's improve our teaching method. Maybe let's have more case studies, more lectures, more use of technology. But if you ask the students, they may say that, okay, reduce the number of assignments, make classes shorter, more practical activities, record lectures. And if it is from the industry designing the solution, they might focus on employability and workplace readiness. But these are all good ideas. But this is coming from one area, either the teacher's perspective, the student's perspective, or maybe the industry perspective. But what happens if everybody collaborates? I'm sure, when everybody or all the stakeholder comes together, it will be a very, maybe they might design a course that might be a very interactive teaching instead of just lectures. Or maybe they might bring industry related projects. If all the three stakeholders join hands, collaborate, and they might come up with interdisciplinary assignments, flexible assessments, or maybe even mentoring, or maybe have a buddy systems. Somebody who is senior students, they can handhold the junior, or maybe a reverse where the junior who is very good in, say, it, in apps, technology, why not handhold somebody who is from the non-technical background, helping them understand about technology more better. Yeah. So the result is not only that, not just better teaching or less workload, it is better learning experience. I think that is very, very important once you have this multiple perspective together. Like, when you go to, just to put an analogy, if you go to a hospital, um, five people are trying to improve the hospital. Say doctors focus on treatment, nurse will focus on what? The patient care. Patient will focus on more on the comfort and the communication. And the families focus on emotional support. Now everybody is right, but only on their own perspective. So higher education, or maybe in the academics, or in the institutes, collaboration is no different. It's not about everyone agreeing, it's about bringing different perspective together, and then you are creating a very nice solutions. Now, while we have looked at these collaborations, now when we collaborate, there's certain, I think, lot of things comes into the play. That ego state that comes into play during collaborations. Either it might build on to them, or it might, maybe next time I may not even collaborate. So, for this, I would like to introduce something which is very, very important, and I'm sure that you have heard about this earlier, and this is known as transactional analysis. Now, so this is a very powerful, I would say, lens of understanding collaboration, especially when you are, talking about innovation, teamwork, cross-functional working. I think this is again very, very important. Now, this is something which was given by Edward de Bono, and he talked about that every individual or every conversation that happens, it happens from one of these three ego state. It could be either the parent, the adult, or the child ego state. And the quality of the conversation that happens, it depends on which ego state dominates. Do we need to have one ego state or a combination of three? What do you think? Can I leave it to all of you to just think, ponder, and if you can just share your thoughts? Do you think we need to operate from all the three ego state, or maybe one has to be dominant? What are your thoughts?
It depends upon the context, I believe.
Okay.
If the situation demands me to act like a parent, give advice or criticize, or criticism means here, of course, constructive criticism, protect or make rules, then I have to behave like a parent. And again, if it demands me to be an adult, then I will behave like an adult who is logical, who is data based or fact based, solution oriented, as mentioned in the slide. And of course, if the situation demands me to be a child, uh, like a child who is curious, creative, then I will behave like a child. So it depends upon the context. We all have all the three states within us, and the parent or the adult or the child comes out based on the context.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your inputs. So, anybody else? Do we have any more volunteers? Okay. So yes, rightly said that we all need to have a different, situational leadership at different points, because not all the situation demands the same kind of approach. You need to have different. And if you see here the qualities, I think in all the three state, why it is called ego state? Because when we were parent, we had or maybe when we were child, we had a different kind of an ego state. We were adaptive, we were rebellious also. When we come to the adult, it's more data driven, more than emotional. You are data. Okay, this is the data and we should act accordingly. And while it is parent, it is like nurturing. At the same time, it could be a critical parent. So I think at different areas, looking at the situation, this varies. Now, and that's the reason, like when we communicate, when we can collaborate, I think certain things, this kind of ego state comes into the picture. And that's the reason, like, suppose that will never work. It's more like, very blunt, like a directive kind of a parent. How about changing it like, what challenges do you foresee and how could we address them? More like an adult. Okay, can you tell me what challenges, or maybe even like a nurturing parent or an adult? Or if we are already, we have already tried that, can we convert it something like what was different then and what has changed since? Because when we look at innovation, it's not like one side. It needs to move between different ego state. Like when I look at, I'll just go here. when I look at the child, you need to generate, say, suppose when you are collaborating for any problem that is there, you need to be a free child where you're generating bold, unconventional ideas. If you recall, when we were young kids, like we used to even probably paint or color even the hut as black, brown, or something, even red color. So it's a wild, uh, you know, um, bold ideas, diverge point of view. Adult, they're going to evaluate objectively. And when I look at parent, nurturing parent, not the critical parent, would encourage participation, would encourage support, and create that psychological safety. So I think this ego states are very, very important. And that's where we have this, like more on the adult, where curiosity without judgment, free child, which is imagination and creativity. And you have adult testing ideas objectively and learning rather than defending. So I think these are very, very important. Yeah. So while transactional analysis is very, very important in design thinking because you're collaborating, there's another very nice, I would say, topic to explore, which is so in transactional analysis, we discovered that collaboration is important because you need to have the conversation. And in design thinking also, it encourages us, to empathize, to imagine. But there's another question, which is when a problem arises in an institute, what is the first we usually do? Most of us, would ask like, okay, what went wrong? Or um, who made this mistake? So there's nothing wrong with this question, but they only help us solve the problem by asking those, WH questions or get into the root cause of an issue. But instead of what is broken, if you ask what is already working well and how can we do more of it, I think that can shift the entire perspective. For example, there are a lot of, we do a lot of exit interview in the organization, maybe in the institutes, in the college, universities. I'm sure the same thing is done, exit interview. So that's a postmortem. It's like a breakdown maintenance. Something happened and you're taking feedback. Instead of exit interview, can we not look at stay interview? Like, why is the employee staying in the organization? Or why are the faculties and teachers, professors there in the college? Rather than looking at 10, 15, 20 things which are not good, can we not concentrate on the 80 things which are already doing great over there? Can we not leverage those things? And that's where you have this concept of appreciative inquiry. Now, when you collaborate, I think more than just looking at why it happened, why it did not, I think this is very, very important. Discover is more about appreciating the strengths, listening to success stories. Dream, when you dream. These are the four parts of appreciative inquiry. Now, dream is more in terms of, I would say, imagining the new possible. You're dreaming, you are foresighted, you are looking at the aspirations, you're looking at the future, imagining new possibilities, creating a shared vision. Design. Design is where co-creating innovative solutions. And also, can we also leverage the collective intelligence? And ultimately, destiny is now can we take the ownership? Like continuous learning and improvement, which are very, very important. So, this is where the concept of appreciative inquiry comes. Appreciate what is good, like the 80-20 principles. People are concentrated more on the 20, why it went. But do we concentrate on the 80%, which is doing well? And can we replicate what is going well in this 80% more and more so that you are able to bridge the gap of 20%? So when I look at in the college, what are the areas where you can collaborate? Maybe these are the areas where you may want to like, and who are the people, like, different faculties, departments, industry, alumni. You may want to suppose, design an interdisciplinary course on, say, AI in healthcare, where you require computer people, computer science, where you require biology and management. So it's an interdisciplinary. Or maybe you're working on a project where engineering, commerce, or maybe even design students, they solve a community problem. That is also a possible. Or can I replace traditional exams with case studies, with simulations, real world projects? That's also an interdisciplinary. Can we, nowadays, we have a lot of clubs, lot of hackathons, innovative challenges in the organization. Can this be also be, I'm sure that this is also something which is happening in colleges as well. Peer learning initiative. I think even mentoring, coaching. These are also something which I think yields a lot of good results, and a lot of design thinking approaches are put over here. Now, I want to bring your attention to this 6 thinking hats. Now, so far, what we have looked at is why collaboration is important, and what are the areas where we can collaborate, and what are some of the skills which is required when we collaborate. Now comes ideate. We have collaborated. Now ideate. Now ideate. One of the good thing that we can look at in ideate is one of the tool is 6 thinking hats. Have you heard about 6 thinking hats? Now, many a times it so happens. Let me give you a statement here. Suppose the college has observed that many first year students were struggling to adjust to college life. Attendance is low, participation in class is minimal, and several students are considering dropping out. Now, the principal has formed a team of faculty members from different departments to address this challenge. Now, I want you to look at, I just gave the yellow highlighted is the case once again that I read from the previous slide, just to bring it here. And this is where the 6 thinking hats come. Now, many a times, maybe one of the person might think from this area, somebody will think from different perspective. So suppose faculty member is looking at data. Another is saying that, okay, they are looking at risk, or somebody else is proposing some other solutions, or maybe another faculty is emotionally frustrated. So there's a lot of collision which happens because everybody is wearing a different head. Edward de Bono, who curated this concept of 6 thinking hats, he suggested that why do we digress? Why not wear one single hat at a time, do a brainstorming, and then get into the next hat, so that everybody is in that particular hat and work on it, brainstorm, and then move on to the next hat. So this is how it works. Now, when you look at the blue hat, it's blue. You will find blue comes in the beginning and blue comes in the end. So blue is somebody who manages, who starts the process as well as who ends the process. So white hat focuses on facts and information. Red is more about focuses on feeling. And then you ask everybody, okay, now let's look at the black hat. What are the risks involved over here? What are the potential problems? Now, when everybody, all the faculty discusses about the black hat, you got some inputs, record it, and then go to the yellow hat. Everybody now is wearing yellow hat, where you now look at the benefit. You look at the positives. Because sometimes what happens when certain situation happens, there could be positive, there could be, I won't say negative, but an area of improvement. So this happened. Did it call to collaborate and think beyond? So that's a positive part of it. Green hat, it is about, okay, now we have understood everything. We'll have looked at the risk. Now let's generate ideas as much as possible. And then you will have the blue hat, summarize and decide the next step. Just to give an example. Now, when I look at the blue hat for the example that I shared over there, that many first year students are struggling to adjust to the college life, attendance is very poor. So when I'm wearing a blue hat, everybody now is wearing a blue hat, and maybe they're discussing, okay, how what is the modus operandi? How do we go about? So this is where you look at this, understand the situation before proposing a solution. White hat talks about, okay, now let's look at what data do we have? What are the information that we have? From the case, we realize that attendance is very less, maybe 68%. Then you discuss, okay, then some of them are saying that, the dropout rate is higher than last year. Maybe some are saying that students from maybe the rural background, they're struggling more. One of the faculty is saying that maybe the many students are first generation learners, and that's the reason they are facing this difficulty. So you are trying to dig on the facts. Or maybe to only 20% participate in extracurricular activities. That is the facts that you all got. Now all the faculties wear the red hat, which means now they discuss, deliberate, and they now look at the feeling and intuition that these students might have. Couple of things which might come up is, okay, maybe I feel students are hesitant to ask questions. They may feel anxious. They're afraid of being judged. They don't know whom to approach. Or now everybody is wearing the black hat. You are discussing, deliberating. Orientation alone may not solve the problem, or additional activities could overload students. So this could be the black hat. Now coming to yellow hat, which is about benefits. Now, what is the benefit of having this? Okay, can we have a peer mentoring program? Benefits is, let's look at some of the benefits of coming up with the solutions. Can we look at clubs? Now everybody is wearing the yellow hat and trying to figure out what can be some of the opportunities that we can look at. Maybe early support may reduce dropouts. You are also thinking about that. Coming to the green one, now green is about solutions. Okay, now what do? We have understood we have worn most of the hats. Now coming to the green hat, which is now we have to come up with the ideas or the, some of the things that can be put into place. Or the alternative. So can we adopt a student faculty mentoring program every quarter or every month? Senior students as transition buddies. Can we have the first 100-day support initiative for the newcomers? Or can we also have weekly informal faculty student coffee conversation? Or sometimes what happens is whistleblowing. So can you have a QR code based anonymous questions so that people just QR code and nobody knows who has given what? Or cross-functional students project, or gamified orientation, or maybe can we have a well-being app with quick access to support all those things? So this is how you kind of wear different hats together to generate lot of ideas. Now, while we looked at transactional analysis, we looked at appreciative inquiry, we looked at 6 thinking hats. I just wanted to take note of the time. Let me just check. Okay. Maybe another some 10 minutes or so. And then we can get into questions. So while we have looked at transactional, appreciative, and 6 thinking hats, now another thing is very, very important. Here, when we looked at the idea generation, which is a green color, sometimes we don't know what more ideas can we look at. So there's a technique of generating more ideas, which is the green hat. And that's what is known as the scamper technique. Because innovation doesn't happen simply because people sit in the same room. It happens because when people learn to look at the same problem from different angles, then it works best. Now, for example, if you come over here, now your institute is saying that your college is saying that, we need to work on, there's a lot of food wastage in the college canteen. Now, how can we use the scamper technique to generate more solution? So if you're able to read it, it's scamper. Substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to other use, and eliminate, reverse. So this is the scamper technique. You can use the scamper technique for any problems that you are encountering. So now when I say that, okay, food wastage in college canteen, now what can we do? What can we substitute? So can we substitute? You start with each one. You work with scamper. First of all, look at substitute. Is there anything that we can substitute? Yes, we can substitute larger fixed portion with smaller medium portion, or even the plates or the bowls can be reduced. Or can I not have a disposable tray with smaller plates? Or can we have a buffet service? Can we substitute printed menus with digital menus, which shows availability to reduce unnecessary preparation? Or sometimes it's always nice, can we substitute message like don't waste food with positive message like take only what you will enjoy? So what is happening is you're substituting. Now go to combine. Is there anything that you can combine so that the food wastage reduces? So one of the thing is, yeah, let's combine meal purchase with pre-order app. Sometimes you have those apps. So I don't prepare uh, in a good quantity, but you have a pre-order app. Maybe the previous day you order it, and then maybe in the canteen they prepare it. Something which is a very, like more like a special dish, those kind of things. Or combine student volunteers with canteen staff to conduct awareness campaign. Can I not combine this? Adapt. What can we adapt? Adapt is something like a best practices that you might have seen in other organization institute, that they are deployed, and you would want to replicate the same in your college. So suppose in terms of the food wastage, what can I adapt? Like if you see the airlines, they have those meal pre-booking for something very, very specific, special dietary requirements, so that they don't produce in larger quantities and later on just to find that people are not having food in a good quantity. Like in hotel also, right? There's a sign says that take only what you can finish. Or maybe can I have a token based meal reservation system which is used in corporate cafeterias? So this can reduce, adapt the best practices, modify. Can I reduce serving size, or can I modify the plate size? Or maybe can I redesign, why not redesign the food counters to display portion more clearly? Or can I make waste bin transparent with daily waste management displayed? So when people see that this is the wastage that happened, so definitely, it's a kind of a reaction that comes in. So you think a lot in that case. Put to use. Now, put to use, like you can give it to food or animal shelter, or maybe come up with a waste tracking as a sustainability dashboard for students. Can even the food waste data, you give this food waste data to students projects for engineering, management, environmental science, and then ask them to come up with some kind of, say, solutions. I think that is also collaboration. So these are the various areas. Eliminate, or eliminate is unnecessary menu items. If you feel that most of the time, when you have particular food items like maybe say brinjal or say ladyfinger or anything, so that's where the students waste food like anything. So you may want to eliminate those things. Or how would you eliminate long waiting times? No, can I have sometimes, long waiting times encourages students to buy more than they need. Sometimes what happens, I don't want to get into the line again, so let me take whatever it is. But is there a way that I eliminate the line so that whenever I require food, I can just go in the counter and get it? Otherwise, I'm taking too much of food because I don't want to get into the line. The next line that I come in the counter will be after, say, 10 minutes. So what do? Let me take as much as possible. But if you clear the mess, and if there is no waiting line, people will take as much as required. Yeah. So this is how it really works out. Reverse rearrange. So this is encourage students to pre-order. So this is where it is. Sometimes in some of the organization, what they have a tester, spoon tester. They take, I don't know, like, how the food was prepared today. So I take it and later on I realize that it's not good. So I waste it. So can I have a tester spoon where I take a portion, a small portion of it, taste it, and if I feel that, yeah, it's good, it's not spicy, I can order more, then I can do that. So maybe having tester spoon also is a good option here. Yes. So this is my last slide where, so when we look at Scamper, the previous one, so did it give a brilliant idea? No, I think it gave us many different ways of looking at the same problem. And that's exactly, I think, when we look at collaboration, it does. If the canteen manager did this exercise alone, then he might only focus on operation. But now, if students also participate, if the faculty from management or environmental science or the IT faculty or anybody, join hands together, and I'm sure that, they all will get different perspective, different ideas, something that can be taken into. Yeah. So yes, so this is where I had my topic today. So I think if we want the students to collaborate, I think as a faculty, we all need to collaborate first. And if you want our students to innovate, I think we must be willing to innovate. And so as you return, I think that today is the last day of the faculty development program. And from tomorrow, when you return to your desk, or from Monday, I would like to leave you with three simple questions, like how can you collaborate with what you haven't collaborated with before? Or what is one practice that you would like to improve together rather than individually? And what is one small innovation that you can begin this semester? Because innovation, when we look at innovation, it doesn't always begin with a big idea. It begins with one conversation, one question, one collaboration. I think that small step is something that we all need to take it over here, right? So thank you very much for the participation, and I wish, all of you very best as you continue to collaborate, innovate, and inspire the next generation. And I'm here to take your questions. So if in case if you have any question, let me just stop share this. And yes. So if you have any question, I'm all there. Any question, anything that you would want to ask? Yes, sure, Mishta ma'am.
Please unmute yourself, Shormishta ma'am.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was not
you.
only very informative. Let me talk about the presentation. It was done meticulously, and it is a labor of love and love for teaching.
Thank you.
And yes, ma'am. And I now request the participants to share their observations or if they have any queries to ma'am.
Uh, Good afternoon, madam.
Good
Uh,
afternoon.
okay, it was a very very comprehensive and well organized presentation on this topic. That last conversation you have told, scamper. Scamper
Yes.
means, yes, that means how to organize what is not being organized. That means, according to me, what are the things which is not being organized? How we should do it? We should devise any new methodologies, or we should devise any new strategies. For example, in a restaurant or in a restaurant, in the food there is a bad taste, which is being not being ordered by the consumers, or if they ordered also, they ordered it very less. So how so that so if we change the menu to little bit, streamline the menu to little bit taster with the small items, but the price also should be less. So it will be less. So
Yes.
it will be good for them, because and also, for example, also if we compose it in a such a way that the little children also can taste it, like ice cream
Yes.
also you can put it,
Yes.
when
Yes.
pudding
Yes.
pudding also you can put it either, so that the
Absolutely.
children and some of the pasta also can put. So it is to be a very organized and very tasty menu for the children. And it will be
Yes,
then
yes.
it will be a very fast selling of the items. So in that way also, I think we can do it in a scamper technique.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for
So,
the yeah, for the matured person, so if we put some homemade food like roti, how homemade roti, and with
yeah,
some amount of vegetables, very
absolutely.
homely cooked with less spicy, and some salad.
Absolutely. That's very nice.
Yeah, so if you put it in that manner, that adult package also can be made. So this is the scamper thing.
Absolutely.
That's how I think about it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I think we all feel hungry now after hearing all pasta, pizzas, and everything. But yes, so Camper is more about generation, as you correctly mentioned. It's more about generation ideas. Now, if I ask you, okay, there's a lot of wastage which is happening in the canteen. So what do I do? We may land up giving, say, okay, let's do A, B, C, D. So maybe four or five. And then, somewhere our thoughts gets lost. So when we use scamper, we go one step at a time. So suppose scamper, substitute. Is there anything that we can substitute? Okay, we can substitute this. So maybe we already got four ideas in substitute. Then let's come to combine. Is there something that we can combine together to come up with an idea or something? Then when you say that, okay, I can combine this with this, attendance ke saath, how many people, students are available today, or maybe a pre-booking, then I know that today the footfalls will be this much. So combine. So you're generating four more ideas. Now coming to adapt, you ask the question, what can be adapted? What existing idea can we adapt or borrow? I remember in this company or in this institute, they had started with this idea. Can we not replicate in our organization? So again, you are coming up with two or three more ideas. Modify. Is there anything that we can modify, magnify? In many of the organizations, what they do is they, in the canteen itself, they will keep, okay, this is the wastage, say 5 kg of wastage, food wastage, and very close to that, they will keep the picture of somebody who is underprivileged, not able to have food. So when they see that this is what we have wastage and this is the food of somebody, kids who are not able to feed them, so there's a lot of change in their thought process. So that's where you have this. So what I'm trying to say is, when you look at the scamper, you're generating almost like four ideas, even more than four ideas in each of the SCAMPER. So almost like you land up coming up with 40 ideas. So it can work in any areas of your life, personal, professional. It's more about idea generation with any problem that you have. Yes.
Wow. Hello, Moushumi. This is Jyoti here.
Yes, Dr. Jyoti.
Yeah, that was a lovely presentation, and the scamper thing which you said is in fact like very uh, life related actually. I mean, it
Absolutely.
can be applied in every aspect of our lives, and it in fact would enhance the quality of our lives.
Yes.
So the scamper technique. Now, I was also wondering, as we were like talking about how empathy then and collaboration, they are interconnected with one another. I was just wondering. Uh, I just wanted to ask you, like, uh, when we collaborate, right? When we are engaged in some collaborative work, uh, do we I mean, what is the key to collaborative work actually? Because we work together. There is like right at the beginning of your session, you mentioned it very clearly that there is a difference between working together and collaborating with one another. So what is the key for collaboration and to have a successful or effective collaborative team or effective collaborative work?
Great. So I think that's a very nice topic, and I think there's a lot of debate which goes on with this. So I would again like to reiterate, the slide that I talked about was transactional analysis. We are all collaborating, but somewhere or the other, maybe it could be the past experience that we had with somebody that keeps us at bay and not participate. But can we have, or maybe there are a lot of times probably I might have said something, but there was a mock that happened in the past, and because of which I am very quite reserved with my thought process. So I think it's always nice to encourage others to share their point of view. If that is, because as I mentioned, when you look at innovation, first of all, you need to have a divergent point of view. And how do we have? Because once you have the divergent, it's easier to funnel it out and converge to something which could be implemented. So the first thing, how do we go about divergent? I would say encouraging as many point of view. And if you feel that somebody feels that, okay, my people will mock at me, can we have system where it could be a round robin, where I just write in a chit, we are 6 of us together, we write in a chit and we share, we don't write our name and put it in the center, and then we open it up and everybody reads, because no names are there, we just take as many ideas as possible, whatever has come up, and nobody can question, Archa, this is not so good enough, that might not work. Because as I mentioned, when we look at idea generation, it's very important to have this. Nowadays, curiosity is very, very important. I would say also add to this element, curiosity is important. Handshaking is very, very important. And can we acknowledge, even though if you feel that, it's not going to make a bigger change with the idea that has been presented, but can we always encourage saying that, okay, this is a nice point. What else can be done? How can we add more flavor to something which is a very small, and maybe the contribution is a little less, rather than having a revolutionary kind of a change? It might be an evolutionary, but how can we appreciate, how can we add more flavor to that, how can we collaborate and make this idea stand out, and then encourage the other person and appreciate. I think appreciating one another really brings that momentum and allow people to talk more openly. And I would say I brought the word of psychological safety. And when you want to have that psychological safety of, or where you want the students or or your peers to talk about, or your friends to reach out to you, I think it's very important to first of all have that inclusion safety, which means that person needs to be part of the group. Now, once the inclusion is being done, then comes the learner safety, where the person now is experimenting. Okay, I can experiment, I'm learning by experimenting, I am making small mistake. And then once the learner is then you have the contributor safety, where I am now seasoned, I can now use my expertise and make a difference. And the fourth one is where you will be more in terms of like, I'm not able to get that word, where it says that you want to break the status quo, you want to bring, and make that change. So when all the four things are possible, I think, you are able to create that psychological safety, and people will be able to experiment more. So I would say these are the major things that I feel can be a part of it, not to criticize, and be very subtle in our
Yeah.
approach. Yeah.
Okay, that was beautifully well explained. I mean, in the at the bottom line, it's all about, like, when you are talking about psychological safety, when you're talking about inclusive safety, that means we can. I mean, can I understand it this way, that when it is all about acknowledging the existence of the other person, that other person is
Absolutely.
as the other person is as alive in thoughts, in mind, as the one, like, as the other. So that was
Absolutely.
in fact, yeah. So
Absolutely.
I
Very
have to,
nicely put.
as I collaborate, I also have to keep in mind that the person with whom I'm collaborating is equally a person of flesh and blood, also has a thought, and that thought must be not accepted, but that thought should be acknowledged, and that is how the work can be done more effectively that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It
And
was a
I think that's
wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. Please
I
go
think
ahead.
that's where the concept, and I think all the faculties and the guest faculties who contributed in the faculty development program, they emphasize on the word of emotional intelligence and emotional quotient. I think that's the foundation of everything. You cannot
Exactly,
make it at
exactly.
bay and do it, but that's the foundation where other things falls into the place.
Falls
So
in the
yeah,
place.
yes.
That was
Very
in
lightly
fact.
said, Dr. Jyoti.
Thank you. And it was very insightful, Moushumi, and very
Thank you very much.
well organized, very meticulously presented, session. And I thank you so much for accepting our invitation and
Thank you very
and
much.
sharing your expertise and your experience with all of us. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. It's a music to my ears after hearing, all those, words. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other questions from other participants?
Evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. I'm
Good
fascinated by
evening.
that is like about six thinking hats, no?
Yes.
I mean, you for keeping an example of the first year students, how to like no, make them inclusive. I mean, throughout the course, okay, program or something else. But still, those thoughts could be applicable for self personality development and
Yes.
understanding.
Yes.
Even faculty having the great collaboration with others. So everything that process would be highly helpful for any kind of
Yes.
environment. I feel like so.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Even
like.
Scamper, even the appreciative inquiry, even, when you look at six thinking hats. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
it's a good enlightening session. I feel like.
Thank you very
Thank
much, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Okay, ma'am, I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, about the De Bono's six thinking hats. So
Yes.
it's about wearing different hats at different situations. But
Yes.
what if there is a conflict of perspectives? That means if some of them are wearing the yellow hat and some of them are wearing the black hat, so there will be a conflict. So how to handle that?
Yes. I think that's where, this idea got generated, because the reason as to why we have conflict is because everybody is suggesting different ideas. And because I'm looking at risk, you are looking at the data. Somebody is looking at, the feeling part of it. Now, everybody is right, but why not all wear one hat at a time and then figure out, so that, the thoughts don't collide? Instead, they complement, when we are wearing one hat at a time, so everybody's idea, thoughts gets, participative in that particular hat. Like when I look at blue hat, now we have to manage the process and keep us focused. So how do we do that? Now white hat, now everybody is wearing the white hat, we don't even go to any other hat. Maybe one of them can be the project owner, or maybe somebody can coordinate and say that, okay, now let's look at this part of it. We want all of you to generate as many ideas that is possible for this area. Now it's more about generation of ideas. It's not about telling that, because as I mentioned, idea generation should always be different from idea evaluation or judgment. You cannot take judgment when you are diverging on something. Convergement, then you look at the risk. Okay, this much budget is required, the impact will be this much, so let's look at this rather than going ahead with something. Look at the impact and the risk. So I think it's very important to go one step at a time. There could be one person who manages the entire thing and say that, okay, now we want to look at what are the feelings. Let's look at the feelings and intuition. Let's all discuss about that. Somebody is actually taking notes of what is happening, and then we look at the benefits and positives. So it's more about, you're saying that, say suppose there's a kind of a problem statement and you're inviting all the faculties in one room, and somebody says that this is the problem statement, just think for a while, and then you say that, okay, let's wear everybody blue hat, and you can say what is the definition of the blue hat, and so that everybody is confined to that hat rather than digressing. So maybe one step at a time, when they play, I'm sure that it will land up to even more better ideas which are worth taking into consideration. Because
Right.
six thinking hat is more about generating of ideas, so let's go one at a time.
Right.
So yeah.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am, for the
Thank you.
answer. And we learned a lot. I'm sure everybody has learned a lot from this session, and we have
Thank you.
enjoyed a lot. And if anybody doesn't have any other question, they may ask questions later. We can give the questions to ma'am, and we can connect again.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we have finally come to the very end of our week-long thematic sessions of the National Level Faculty Development Program. And I now request the organizing chair, Dr. Meenakshi Dey, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sharmishta. As we conclude this 1 week national level faculty development program on thriving together, communication, mental wellness, and collaborative excellence in higher education, jointly conducted by the School of Applied Science and Humanities and the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Haldia Institute of Technology, it is my privilege as the organizing chair to propose the vote of thanks. I express my heartfelt gratitude to our patron, Dr. Lakshman Chandra Seth sir, for his constant encouragement and visionary support. My sincere thanks to our advisory committee, especially our respected principal, Professor T.K. Jana, our Registrar General, Dr. Anjan Mishra, and the Dean of School of Applied Science and Humanities, Professor A.B. Maiti, for their guidance and unwavering support throughout the program. I extend my sincere appreciation to our program chair and head of School of Applied Science and Humanities, Dr. Shantanu Giri, for his excellent leadership, and to my co-organizing chair, Dr. Jyoti Dole, for her dedication and wonderful teamwork. My heartfelt thanks also goes to every member of the organizing team whose hard work behind the scenes made this FDP a success. I gratefully acknowledge all our esteemed resource persons for sharing their valuable knowledge and inspiring us with their expertise. Finally, my sincere thanks to all the participants from across India. Your enthusiasm, active participation, and meaningful interactions truly made this program vibrant and memorable. Let us carry forward the spirit of communication, mental well-being, and collaboration into our institutions and continue learning from one another. Thank you all for being a part of this wonderful journey. Wishing you good health and continued success. Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am. A last important note to all the participants. It is mandatory to appear for the Google Form quiz to receive the certificate. The link would be active till 7 p.m. today. And please also fill up the afternoon feedback form. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.